Thank you very much, Gwen. And yeah, we definitely a different story than a number of these guys. We're more like the plankton that feeds the system. We're the project generator. We're focused in the Yukon. I'm going to have some forward-looking statements here, so read this carefully. So as I said, we're a Yukon-focused exploration team. So we stick to what we know better than anyone. Our team has been responsible for the discovery of both the highest grade, greater than 1 million ounce gold deposits ever found in the Yukon, as well as the largest copper and gold deposit ever in the Yukon. And right now we've got a stronger portfolio than we have ever in the history of our company. We've been doing this for quite some time. Our team here is headed off by an encyclopedia on mineral occurrences, Doug Eaton, and followed up with Ian Talbot there, used to be with BHP Billiton, helps put deals together for us. And then we got a lot of strength throughout the board, but I'll keep moving along here so we can get through this presentation. We've got about just under 100 million shares out. As you can see, our market cap's just under 50 million, but we've got that backed up by 28 million in working capital. So that's about 7 million in cash right now and 21 in marketable securities of other companies. Very strong shareholder base, about 33% or so is held by insiders and large institutions such as Klondike Resource Partners. They've got 13% and a member on our board, and the Tocqueville Gold Fund, recently acquired by Sprott. So why the Yukon? Well, first of all, that's where our experience is. It's a mining-friendly jurisdiction, and it has world-class mineral potential. It often ranks very high on the Fraser Institute rankings. And it's the heart of the Northern Cordilleran Gold Province, where you've got about 1% of the landmass and 10% of the world's known gold resources. So where do you find gold? Where there are gold mines and gold deposits. We've got a number of top-tier gold projects within our portfolio, so it's always hard for us to decide, what do we explore ourselves. So a lot of the times it's, based on what projects we need to work on to keep them in good standing. So the near-term catalyst, it's hard. I'm not going to go through every project we have, having over 130. So I'm going to focus on one of them where we made some bonanza-grade discoveries this summer at the Mount Hinton. And then some of the other near-term catalysts could be Rockhaven Resources, which has a high-grade gold deposit in Yukon, wide open for expansion. We're heading into a rising gold price environment here. That could be a takeout in this cycle. Precipitate Gold, they presented here. We're the single largest shareholder of Precipitate. We hold about 24% of that. We've got an initial drill program at Pueblo Grande this year. And we also have a technology company where we've got a very large share interest that could be quite disruptive to the cement and construction industries. So the potential value there could dwarf everything else in our portfolio. So on to the Mount Hinton. This is what got our share price going this year. As you can see, we're in a great location. We've got the Victoria Gold's Eagle Mine up in the northwestern portion of that map. We're right adjacent to Alexco's Keno Hill mine. You can see their mill just a couple kilometers off our property boundary. And this is an area where there's been a recent placer discovery down in the southern portions where the guys are pulling out nuggets the size of my fingers. And that's what got us into that southern basin on the Mount Hinton. And so since that discovery, the roads have been improving drastically over the last couple of years. So we're in a great location for infrastructure. And so what did we find out there? So we sent some prospectors and soil samplers out there this summer to follow up on some of the soil geochem we defined in 2018. And they came back with some really bonanza grade discoveries, so over 2,000 grams per ton. That rock sample was almost a quarter of a percent gold. So we got some geos out there to follow it up, and they found a lot more of that. They identified a number of structures that were controlling that mineralization and found ounce per ton type assays all throughout that area. So that's wasn't the only zone on the project where we've got high grade. The last slide was just in the top corner up there. That's where the last slide was. But every single star on this map is a rock sample or chip sample or drill intersect that's got over 5 grams per ton. All the red ones were from this year. So not only did we have the huge cluster of anomalies up in that corner, we found basically anywhere we were getting kicks in the geochem, we were finding 5 gram plus rocks right at surface. So we had PhD out there doing some detailed mapping. He's identified multiple phases of mineralization, which is always what you want to see in mineral deposits. So on to some of the shareholdings. We've got a million other projects. So some of the more advanced ones that are within the group here, we've got a 36% interest in Rockhaven Resources. Now this is a road accessible, high grade gold and silver deposit. They're up over 1.6 million ounces already, so a very significant asset already. But what I want to tell you is sort of why we own so much of this, because aside from strategic insiders own another 15% of it. And the reason is it's got district scale upside. So there's been 11 vein zones identified to date on their project, and their current resource only encompasses parts of 3 of those. This year we did some step-out drilling. We intersected a number of holes in the Pearl Zone, which is 400 meters north of our current resource. Some really nice numbers there. 5 grams gold, over 1,000 grams silver. And the similar type of deposits to Rockhaven's deposit are the Buritica, which was recently acquired by Zijin for $1.4 billion, carbonate base metal epithermal type target, and the Porgera, which is similar to Rockhaven, as a porphyry to vein transition model. So I've got a couple of slides to demonstrate that. Here you can see on the screen what we know to date about Rockhaven, the Claza deposit. Sort of the 1.6 million ounces is only the hatching. So everything else that shows up in red are structures where we have a few drill holes, some trench results, but not enough drilling to bring that into a 43-101 resource. So tons of expansion along strike, and those zones are still open, as you can see with all the nice arrows there. So there's the location of the Pearl Zone discovery, very significant, some hits in the Western Fault Block, which were very high grade, that host the Western BRX zone. Here you can see some of the nice hits right down at the bottom of our deposit. This is the block model of the deposit, how it sits so far. Draw your attention to the central Claza right at the bottom, 11 grams over 6.7 meters. So this just speaks to the down dip potential of this system. And now I'm going to show you what a long section from Buritica looks like. So here's the Buritica. As you can see, 1.6 kilometer vertical extent on these type of systems. Slower mineralizing event than traditional epithermal, so you can get high grade over huge sections, and I'll just overlay the Claza zone block model with those same stars. So as you can see, lots of potential with this type of model down under what we already have. The other deposit I mentioned was Porgera. Here you can see same sort of porphyry to vein transition model, but what really sets this deposit apart are these little treasure box zones in areas of structural complexity where you get super high grade. We see evidence of that at Claza as well, 3 meters at 24 grams, and the BRX, 2 meters at 94 grams. So some really high grade zones are within our deposit already. So I'll just zoom in just on the plan view, overlay our deposit there for scale. So as you can see, we're already at a large scale footprint. But to really see what we've got, I'll zoom out a bit and then overlay all the other red ones. So there's our potential next to Porgera, which is truly a world-class asset. As I mentioned, we're largest shareholder of Precipitate Gold. They'll be getting going here in February, so some near-term catalysts potentially coming up with a drill program there. And I'll move on to our technology company, where we hold 83% of Terra CO2. And we're looking at developing a sustainable cement technology with this. We were initially investigating ways to treat mine tailings by reacting CO2 with sulfides to create carbonates. We've got patent protection on that. But while the scientists were working on that, they came up with another process while they were looking at dry stack tailings and whatnot, and they ended up creating a geopolymer, basically a replacement for Portland cement. And as some of you might know, one of the largest single contributors to CO2 emissions is the cooking limestone to create cement. Somewhere from 5 to 8% of global CO2 emissions come from that. And our technology has the potential to use waste rock, mine tailings and whatnot instead of cooking limestone to create a replacement for this. And so moving forward with the patents, we've got a very strong team in place. A gentleman who's run a FTSE 100 construction firm is on helping us with the business aspect of this. And we've got a very strong technical team with a number of professors out at UBC, as well as DJ Lake, who's the PhD who's heading up this technology. Sort of another lottery ticket within there. Here's some of our other shareholdings. Attack Resources, they've got a couple high-grade gold deposits in the Yukon, out of the same office as us. GGL Resources is a diamond explorer we recently took over and restructured. They've got a very large portfolio of diamond projects in the Lac de Gras region. Some royalties right along trend of producing mines. And something else that sets our group apart, or our company apart, is we often provide dividends to shareholders. So 2 examples of that would be Silver Range Resources and Trifecta have been past spin-outs of the company. Silver Range now is morphed into a project generator after defining a 40 million ounce silver deposit in Yukon. They've got large portfolio targets in Nevada. So if you're looking for epithermal targets undercover, give Silver Range a call. Here's how we've grown the business over time. Really, the basis of strategic is project generation. So here's our project portfolio over the years. And as you can see, during this downturn, our total number of projects has been flat. But we have acquired projects. We've acquired 34 new projects, and we've just been trimming the ones that don't work out. As you can see, the industry is very cyclical. All of our projects are pre-resource, so when the exploration cycle gets going, we're able to get a lot of targets out the door, and it looks like we might be starting to get into the start of a new bull cycle here. With a recent deal done with the spin-out from Atlantic Gold, Artemis, on one of our British Columbia projects. And so here we go, just the key catalysts for the near term. We're going to be exploring at Hinton next year. Rockhaven's going to be doing another large program, potentially looking at some economics. We've got Precipitate, and then new announcements from Terra CO2. Thank you very much.